going on, everybody? This is McFarline here. We are currently live on Twitch with Akinyemi doing an interview about his debut album, Reborn. We just talked a little bit about some unreleased merch. Akinyemi, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Good to have. Thank you for having me for sure. I'm
Yeah, no
chilling.
problem. Let me pause this music
That
real
day
quick.
so far. You know what I mean? I'm macking.
Word, word. It cut out for me, so I'm assuming that you said you're cooling because you said you're macking. So I just
I'm
guess that's.
chilling. Yeah, like however how many times I got how many different innuendos you might need.
Yeah, slang, all of that.
Um,
So we were just talking about some unreleased merch, and that made me think about the rollout of this album and everything you got going on for you. You got visuals. The album's been out for what, like 2 weeks now?
like two, like
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks.
So how are you feeling about the process? How are you feeling about what is involved in the album rollout? And how are you feeling about the response to the overall album?
Um, I feel good,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like a lot of uh it's been dope to see. Like I remember I asked a couple people like what their favorite joint is. Everybody got a different favorite. So
Mm-hmm.
that's it's it's always a dope reminder that like this shit ain't for you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? It's for whoever fuck with it, whoever connect with it. That's
Mm-hmm.
who it's for. You feel me? So
Yeah.
like uh it feels the response is like uh it's always refreshing to put out shit because it's
Mm-hmm.
always like a reminder to get back to it. So like ever since I put this shit out, I just been back in the lab kind of working on the next one. And Um, it's dope to like not have to send fucking unreleased music, and well, I don't have to send private SoundCloud links to people anymore. I could just send them the record. You know what I mean? And just be
Yeah.
like, "Yo, here's the new shit."
Yeah. That must be a really gratifying feeling to elevate,
Yeah.
I can't help but put it into game references, but I feel like, especially at this point in my life with stuff that I'm doing, everything's just about evolving. What is the next stage of Pokemon that I'm gonna be? And some of the questions that I have in here kind of allude to that step forward that you're clearly taking, not only with your music, but with yourself and how you are distributing that to the world, just the industry, the creative platform that Instagram, Apple Music, Spotify, Twitter creates for you. And a lot of I seen some of that when I was interviewing Demon, just how like there's just this switch that flips at a certain point for an artist, whether it be their first album, whether it be a particular album, whether it be whatever milestone it is, where their tone and their confidence on
Mm.
the digital platform is just is on par with their music and where they're at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you.
So do you feel like you have fully taken that step, or do you feel you're still in that process because of the release of this album?
When you say that step, you talking about when you say that platform. Which platform are you talking about? You talking about like
I'm
Spotify? You talking about like
just
Instagram?
in general, because I feel like it all ends up encompassing it's in itself when you're doing it and you're trying to make something happen. So really just everything as a whole.
Mm. Um, I definitely feel like I'm way more comfortable making
Mm-hmm.
music. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I feel like I remember when I used to like it's been a couple years ago, and like a lot of my favorite artists, like when they started dropping their like second or third project, they started saying like, "Yo, I don't care no more," and I never really understood that,
Mm-hmm.
and now I understand not the term not caring means that like you trust yourself, so there isn't any second guessing
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to like the finish line process of the record, like you know what I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm doing math sessions and I'm like understanding that like, yo, I trust myself. Like I don't need a second guess. I don't need to sit on this record for a year and like fine tune and do 20 different mixes and all this other shit. Like we gonna have one session, we gonna have two, we gonna knock out what we need to knock out. We gonna, finalize the record, get it to where it's at, and then boom, send it off onto the next. And kind
Mm-hmm.
of that's how I've been um running recently and just been way more prolific, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, that way.
Yeah. So that made me think of two things, right? That what was that process for you to get to that point, right? Because you said you didn't understand it when artists were saying it on their second or third albums and things like that. That
Yeah.
clearly something has to happen, like I said, that switch has to be flipped. So was there something in like your personal life or just as you were creating or something that you seen in the process where you were just like, this is how I do it and this is how I make it work for me?
I think dropping first, like, um, dropping my first body of work. So this is like my first album, but I dropped like an EP Summers back in like 2017,
Hmm.
and that was like my first like baby. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And even though it wasn't like as curated as this joint is,
Hmm.
um, I feel like it was my first like, oh shit, I got something to like send out.
Hmm.
And like that process of like even having like any lick of music in the world, like I'm like, I um I understand like where artists is coming from when it comes to like uh being like super unapologetically like confident in their craft.
Hmm.
But this Reborn shit was just like, I like these records, like I feel like they don't sound like none of the shit that I was putting out like back then.
Hmm.
And it's I still go back to it and I'm like fucking with it. So that's what I mean. Like it's like okay, like our production value has like increased OD, you know what I mean, for real.
Hmm. That's amazing. That's really amazing. So what are these inspirations that you keep referring to? Give me some names.
Um, you talking about like what you mean by like
So
inspirations?
the inspirations that okay, yeah, let me be more specific. The inspirations that got you to the point of trusting yourself and not caring. And then what are inspirations and just making music in general for you and where did those inspirations come from for Reborn? Because I have my speculations, but I want to hear you say it first.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, shit. I think it's everywhere from like old Kanye to 50 to um fucking I think bumping hella Good Kid, Mad City, bumping hella like Section 80,
Mhm.
bumping hella Tribe. Uh I think those artists kind of like were revolutionaries in their own right, and it did something that like wasn't really done before during their time, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I draw from them. I draw from them a lot, for sure.
So, and are those synonymous with not caring, or is it just the musical aspect of it?
Um, I don't know if I meant not caring. I kind of meant like the ability to be prolific. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? The
Yeah.
ability to like put out things in in quick succession. Yeah. And that's definitely something that's gonna be seen from me more moving forward. Like I want to put out a project in the fall,
Hmm.
and I want to like, really like kind of keep the momentum up of Reborn. It's like, all right, cool. Here's my like, I haven't dropped something in 3 years. Like I want to like keep the momentum going and being like, yo, boom, here's another one, boom, here's another one, here's another one. Because I feel like I'm making shit like that all the time, and I just wanted to be seen.
Yeah. So, what has it been like building this fan base and evolving your thought process with, you want to get more music out there because you're completely independent, like you told me earlier, and you're doing everything yourself. So clearly the followers on Instagram, the hundreds of thousands of listeners, the views are all stemming from whatever work you've put in and what dedication that you've shown, right? So what has
Yeah.
it been like just building that foundation for yourself?
It's been a lot of fucking Googling. It's been a lot of learning. It's been a lot of fucking like um not being afraid to ask for help. I feel like, especially in this last year or two, I
Mhm.
realized that was like really important. Just being like, yo, like who has the resources to do some shit that I don't know how to do, or like who
Mhm.
can teach me how to do this shit so I can like learn how to do it myself. But um I think shit, yeah, being independent is like um that shit hard. Like, cause
Yeah.
there's a balance between like, do I sit down and like, work on this like ad campaign and like work on all this shit and like edit these videos and all this content, or do I like, say fuck all that and go back and make records and kind of like I'm still finding the balance. And I feel like the balance won't ever really be found because you're doing everything yourself. So uh my I just been trying to slowly perfecting my like naming my shit, my filing convention, like my fucking how I schedule shit, like make sure I schedule like time to like sessions with myself to write, sessions with myself to like I plan and be like, yo, we reconnect on all the shit that I made last week. Like what's a priority? What's some tracks I want to finish, you know what I'm saying? And